about this NBA MVP race going on. This is a unique MVP race because this is the first time in a long time where you got 4 to 5 legitimate candidates going on here. And it's not just the usual LeBron or Steph or KD or one of those type guys. You got the guys as in, the reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic, who's up in this conversation. You got the guy who's won 2 of the last 3 MVPs, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And you got guys like Joel Embiid, Ja Morant, and, of course, DeMar DeRozan. Of course, you can put Chris Paul in there to some extent, but with his injury, that pretty much takes them out of the conversation. And one thing about this race, it kind of changes on a daily basis. Last week it felt like DeMar was in the driver's seat to win this award. Now it feels like Ja might be in there. So as far as today, I think I'm going to go with Joel Embiid for the MVP. I think if I had to rank them, I would put DeMar as a close second. Now, the only reason I have DeMar over Ja, and I know Ja is the flavor of the week right now, the flavor of the month, and that's fine. That's no disrespect to Ja. What Ja's been doing has been incredible. But we know how it happens in the NBA. When somebody gets hot, we get all these wild comparisons. Even look with Joel and Harden coming together, people are already comparing them to Kobe and Shaq and Magic and Kareem. It's like, let's relax here. Let's let these dudes play out and let's see how these two things work out. And the same thing with Ja. Ja is a guy who is exciting. He's one of the best young point guards in the league, and he's got his team right in the thick of this Western Conference race. I mean, as we're sitting here right now, they're only a half game behind the Golden State Warriors for the second seed. So you got to give it to Ja and everything he's been doing. But the reason I have and before I get to the top two, when it comes to Jokic and when it comes to Giannis, they're candidates, but I don't think that these two are going to be down to the final 3 when it comes to actually voting. What Jokic is doing is incredible. His numbers are crazy, but this team is also in 6th seed. And when it comes to voting MVP, no matter how people might not like how they vote, we know it's 50% stats, 50% of what your team is doing. Now, granted, Jokic is doing this without 2 of his best players. Of course, Jamal Murray's been out all season. Michael Porter Jr. has missed a great amount of the season. Now, both of them are on the come up. Now, there's rumors that Michael Porter Jr. should be back before the playoffs. We haven't really heard too much about when Jamal Murray's coming back, but we all know he's doing his rehab. So you got to give him that. But when it comes to the other candidates, I can't put them over them. Now, when it comes to Giannis is about to enter the space that LeBron is in, that KD is in, that Steph is in, and where Michael Jordan was in before, as where he's going to get voters fatigue. I mean, he's won 2 out of the last 3. And it's not like you don't appreciate what he's doing, but it's also like you're so used to it. It's kind of like, okay, that's what Giannis is supposed to be doing. So he's another guy who's kind of like, he's in the conversation, but I don't really think he's a legit, like, top 3 candidate. So then it goes to 3. Now, I just talked about Ja. When it comes to my 2 favorites in Joel Embiid and DeMar DeRozan, I mean, DeMar is having a career year. He's got the Bulls in the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference, despite them being ravaged with injuries and COVID. In fact, they had no team in NBA has missed more games due to injury and COVID combined than the Chicago Bulls. You got Alex Caruso, who's only played 6 games since the first week of December. You got Lonzo Ball, who's only played 2 games since Christmas, and you got Patrick Williams, who literally got hurt on the 4th or 5th game of the season. So those are 3 big cogs in this Bulls team, and he's been able to put this team right in the thick of things in this Eastern Conference battle that like switches every week. You lose 4 games in a row in the East, you might look yourself up in the play-in. So he's on there. And when you do a streak, I mean, this streak he just finished of 8 games of 35-plus points on 50% shooting is something that not even Michael Jordan did. When you're in any type of conversation with Wilt Chamberlain, that right there is incredible. And then being the only guy, he was a game away from tying Michael Jordan's 35, 30-plus game streak that he had with the Bulls. So, and I'm a guy who, I'm not going to lie, before, and DeMar before he became, well, I wasn't the biggest DeMar DeRozan fan. I'm not going to sit up here and lie to y'all and act like I was just team DeMar before this. This was not it. I never thought he was weak. I thought he was a good shooting guard. I just didn't think he was anything special. But to see the impact that he's had on this team, and I think his time in San Antonio really a lot of people don't talk about because, I'm going to give y'all a Game of Thrones reference. It's like he got sent to the Night's Watch. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on in San Antonio ever since Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, and Kawhi left the building. Nobody pays attention to that. But really being with Pop made him a better playmaker. And that's what we've been seeing this year. Not only is he averaging almost 30 points, he's giving you 5 assists a game. He's giving you like 6 rebounds a game. Now, those type of things really show just his impact as an overall player. And I'm going to say, I think he's surrounded by the best talent he's played with his entire life. And this is no disrespect to Kyle Lowry or anything that he had on those Toronto Raptors teams. But there's never been a guy on any of those Toronto Raptors teams that he was on that could score like Zach LaVine. And I don't even think they even had a big who could score like Vucevic. I mean, you had Jonas Valanciunas. He's pretty good, even though I think he's better now than he was actually in Toronto. So that helps a lot too. But to be able to carry this team and just have them in the thick of things in this Eastern Conference race with all the injuries and all the things that the Bulls have been going through, I think puts them over there. Put them as probably like 1A, 1B. But the reason I got Joel Embiid up here, now granted the Bulls have a better record than the Sixers, but you got to look at Joel Embiid as this is a team that had the number 1 seed last year. He probably could have been MVP last year before he got hurt. And to do all these things he's doing right now as a big man and to not have Ben Simmons for the entire season, whether you feel about Ben Simmons or not, that's another all-star player who helps not even just really with setting up the offense, but defensively. To go out here and have this team, he's a half game behind the Bulls right now, and doing all this before Harden, to me, I got to give it to him. And he's healthy this year. He's putting up tremendous numbers. They've been getting big wins against Milwaukee. They didn't beat Brooklyn a couple times. Like, this is really, really fun to see. And he's doing things that only people in Sixers history like Allen Iverson and Dr. J have done. So I will probably put him slightly ahead of DeMar and Ja right now in the rankings. But like I said, this is a fluid situation. 2 weeks from now, we might be singing a different tune. Ja might be number 1 in the MVP rankings. Now, where I think this is going to hurt Joel for the next 5 to 6 weeks of the season is now he does have Harden. So he might lose a couple voters because now he's playing with another superstar. So that might hurt him a little bit. But as of right now, I'll probably rank my 3 candidates as Joel number 1, DeMar number 2, and Ja Morant number 3. But this is real fun to watch. It's making the games interesting. And it's really cool to see the actual race this time, as opposed to the last couple years. We haven't really seen too much of a race.